Welcome to Kingston Changemakers, a show about individuals and organizations striving to make Kingston the best it can be. Today, we're going to be talking with the people behind your favorite Twitter accounts in Kingston. Welcome.
How are you, Dan?
How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Well, how are you?
So Tommy and Chris, you're here, and right off the bat, what are your Twitter accounts?
So mine is @TommyVallier.
And mine is YGK Traffic.
YGK Traffic, I've heard of you. I've heard of you both. I'd like to know, I think everyone out there, people on Twitter, they've seen you, they've heard of you. You guys are both civilians or people from the community that picked up a phone one day and decided to use Twitter. Tell me a bit about how you started and why you started using Twitter in our community.
Yeah, so I started using Twitter back in 2006, mostly for work at the time. I was working out of a company in Pittsburgh, and we were using it for communication with our audience, our user base. And then I kind of found that there was a lack of people in Kingston, so I kind of started asking who was using it in Kingston and started getting that conversation going.
Okay.
In 2006, 2007.
And yourself, Chris?
Started mine about 5 years ago or so. It was really born out of a sense of frustration from my perspective. I in my professional role, it's important that I get to different places on time, and at that point there wasn't anywhere where I could check to see what traffic patterns were like, if there were accidents, construction areas, that sort of thing. And so I decided to start one.
When you did, and it's quite successful, I know. And what about yourself, just going back to, I know that's when you'd started, but what gap did you see? Because I know the gap, Tommy. I followed you on going to city council. Tell me a bit about, you were very dedicated for so long with that. Tell us a bit about that.
So I had created, years ago, I had created something that was involved around new media called the Limestone New Media Group. And from that, I spun off live city council coverage on Twitter. Probably about 2011 that started. And again, it was just noticing that gap in coverage of council. There was very few ways that you could, at least on the web, that you could experience what was going on at your city hall during a council meeting. Your options were be there or you had nothing, really.
And so how many meetings do you think you went to?
Oh goodness, probably 300.
Oh my gosh.
250, 300 meetings.
That's a couple meetings.
Including council, committee, special council.
Well, that's important, but I think both of these, the need in our community, both what you saw, both at council and getting around town. What have you noticed, from 2006 to 2010, how has Twitter changed your life? Is your phone, is it when it's sleeping, and you especially too, what, is it ever out of your hand? Tell us a bit about your life with Twitter.
Well, I definitely have the phantom phone vibrating phenomenon going. Even if it's not going off, it feels like it's going off. And definitely an integral component of my life. I've met people who I never would have met in Kingston, opportunities to network and meet people that I simply wouldn't have had the opportunity to if it hadn't been for social media. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
Welcome back to Kingston Changemakers. We're here with Karen Smith from Limestone District School Board and Constable Steve Koopman from the Kingston Police Department. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Glad to be here. So you guys, it's a little different. You guys represent organizations. And I think this is important, and that's why we divided the show this way, to show the difference between an individual in the community and someone behind a brand, a logo, an organization. And the importance to create a narrative. I appreciate both of you for what you guys do on Twitter. Tell me a bit about Limestone and Twitter. Tell me a bit about yourself and the narrative you create for Limestone.
Sure. So I joined the board in 2012, and at that point in time there was no Twitter account for the board, but it was an area that the board wanted to explore, to engage with our families, with our students, with the community, to really let people know what's going on in Limestone. Initially it really started as a serviceable account, so letting people know things like snow days and sort of day-to-day business. Yeah. But I would say over the last 5 years, it's really grown into a community, and we have lots of teachers and schools on Twitter who are sharing all the things that are going on day to day in their classrooms, which has been fantastic. So it's really evolved over the last 5 years.
And I see it. I follow you guys, and I really appreciate that too, and see what my girl's doing at school. It's really neat. And what about yourself, Steve, with Kingston Police? And how did did you start that, or were you one of the initial ones starting Twitter with Kingston Police?
Yeah, I created it when I was actually a detective in the major crime unit to solve one case and one case only. I had no idea how this was going to grow and evolve and come in a way its own monster. But ultimately, when we looked at strategy for this and realized the true potential for social media in relation to law enforcement, then it was one where interaction was number one. It was really breaking down those barriers with the community, and then investigative aspects in terms of real policing, again, allowing the citizens of Kingston to feel that they are involved, which they should be, in relation to making their community a safer one.